The manatee, a forgotten marine mammal. Other sea mammals, such as whales and dolphins, receive considerable attention in television and print media. But manatees and their struggle for survival are not well known. Their numbers and habitat continue to shrink. Only 2,500 Florida manatees still remain in the wild. Today, we'll travel to Central Florida to observe these gentle giants in their natural habitat. We'll study these fascinating mammals and examine how and why they interact with humans. We'll explore the increasing threats facing this highly endangered animal as man continues to encroach on its territory. We'll also look at conservation efforts to protect the manatee and highlight successes in reestablishing their dwindling populations. With a remote resemblance to humans, early sailors like Christopher Columbus mistook manatees for the fabled mermaid. He commented that these mermaids were not quite as lovely as he was led to believe. With the exception of a whiskered snout, manatees have very little resemblance to humans, except perhaps to a sailor at sea far too long. The Florida manatee, a subspecies of the West Indian manatee, belongs to the order Sirenia. This name comes from the legendary Sirens, a group of beautiful mermaids who tried in vain to lure Odysseus and his sailors onto the rocks in Homer's Odyssey. A giant of the shallows, the manatee or sea cow grazes on aquatic plants. They are herbivores, the only aquatic mammals that subsist entirely on vegetation. With gargantuan appetites, they graze on a variety of bottom-growing and floating plants, daily ingesting up to 10 to 15% of their body weight. They can weigh anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 pounds, with an average length of over 10 feet. One specimen topped the scales at over 3,500 pounds. When it comes to beauty, these placid, harmless animals win few admirers. Pretty mermaids, they are not. They have no external ears or lobes, but can hear very well. They have highly developed internal ear structures. Deep-set eyes work like the aperture of a camera, closing in a circular motion. Like sharks and dogs, manatees have an extra eyelid, a nictitating membrane that protects their eyes from damage. A bloated, sausage-like body slims to a paddle-shaped tail. The tails are large, flat, and round, and function perfectly as a means of propulsion. Manatees are indeed one of Mother Nature's most eccentric creations. Scientists believe manatees are distant cousins to elephants, animals that forsook land for water millions of years ago. They are thought to have evolved from large, wading, plant-eating animals. Fossil records in Florida indicate that the manatee lived here more than 50 million years ago, long before the first humans walked its shores. Each year, in the cooler winter months, warm waters of Central Florida's rivers attract hundreds of animals. A migratory species, the manatee can be found in shallow, saltwater bays, canals, slow-moving rivers, and coastal areas. Manatees are concentrated in the winter in Florida, but can be found in the summer months as far west as Louisiana and as far north as Virginia. They are gentle and slow-moving creatures. Most of their time is spent eating and resting, or traveling to the next feeding ground. They usually rest on the bottom, coming up to breathe every 3 to 5 minutes. When resting, they can hold their breath for up to 20 minutes. Perfectly motionless, they lie on the bottom like a rock. Their nose is usually the only part of their body that comes out of the water when they breathe. Their lungs lie along their backbone instead of the rib cage like other mammals. The manatee's lungs also help with buoyancy control. They use their flippers and tail to steer through the water. They move their tails up and down to propel themselves forward. In shallow water, manatees leave a characteristic footprint on the surface. As their tails stroke up and down, a distinct pattern is left on the water's surface. Manatees are quite agile. They can swim upside down, roll, do somersaults, or move vertically in the water column. Manatees have only 6 vertebrae in their neck. Most mammals have 7. As a result, manatees cannot turn their heads sideways. They must turn their whole body to look around. Another interesting fact is that all of their teeth are molars. They have no biting teeth, only grinding molars. New teeth are constantly formed in the back of the mouth and advance to replace older, worn-out molars. This is an adaptation to their diet of plants, which include lots of sand and grit. Our destination today is the Crystal River region of West Central Florida. Crystal River and its surrounding region are now a tourist destination of sorts. And one of the main attractions here is the manatee. Manatees are so ingrained in the local culture that their likeness is included on the state license plate. On the edge of the Crystal River, we boarded a customized pontoon boat used for snorkelers and tourists.
Guys, if you're looking around, you might see that nose pop up. It'll come up about every 3 minutes to take a breath. All you're going to see is that little bit of nose. You might hear an exhalation. He's back under. And if they're sleeping, they can stay down for like 10 to 15 minutes at a time. I've seen people swim right over the top of sleeping manatees, and they go, all I'm seeing are these rocks. Of course, the rock comes up to take a breath, and that's pretty exciting. The main attraction here in Crystal River seems to be the manatees. People come from all over the world to see them. In the wintering months, starting in October, they'll start leaving in March. We'll get close to 300 manatees, sometimes even over 300 manatees in the bay.
The warm waters of the Crystal River, heated by 74-degree fresh water springs, attract hundreds of animals in the winter months. Surprisingly, manatees have little body fat and cannot tolerate cold water. If the water temperature dips much below 70 degrees, the animals are subject to hypothermia. Many animals die each year simply because they strayed into water that was too cold.
Crystal River is unique in that it was established specifically for one endangered species, the West Indian manatee. We have about 500 national wildlife refuges across our country that were set aside for the general purpose of protecting habitat for wildlife. So Crystal River is quite unique in that it was set aside to protect habitat for one endangered species, the West Indian manatee.
In selected areas, snorkelers and tour boats are allowed to mingle with the manatees. The manatees also have special protected zones that are off limits to people. Boats and swimmers are not allowed to venture beyond marker buoys. Here, they can go about their business unmolested by curious admirers. In the areas where people are allowed to interact with the animals, manatees genuinely seem to delight in human company. They nuzzle and rub against snorkelers and enjoy being scratched. They sometimes hold on to their visitors. Even our cameraman was grabbed by a small juvenile. This type of interaction is usually not considered a good idea. Tame animals can sometimes endanger themselves by becoming too friendly with people. However, in the wildlife refuge, visitors are given an orientation that explains how to properly interact with the animals. In addition, there is no exchange of food. The animals are not conditioned to accept handouts, therefore have to gather their own food. These tame animals account for only a small fraction of the total population. Most manatees are so shy that they flee human contact, an action that may aid in their chance for survival. With education and interaction, these encounters serve to heighten people's awareness of these highly endangered animals.
When they're first born, you're looking at a gestation period of around 13 months. They'll nurse their young for close to 2 years. So that's a long amount of time between births. That's probably one good reason why they're endangered at this time. Their only known enemy, to my knowledge, is man. And pollution and boats are its main enemies.
The reproductive rate of the manatee is indeed very slow. Females mature as early as 4 to 5 years, while males mature at approximately 9 years of age. They generally produce a single calf every 2 to 3 years. Pregnancies last up to 14 months, and the newborns are fully formed and ready to swim. Mothers nurse their young for a very long period, and a calf may remain dependent on its mother for up to 2 years. This slow rate of reproduction is one of the main reasons that depleted populations are not quick to recover. Florida manatees have no natural enemies, and it's believed that they can live for up to 60 years or more. Many manatee deaths are accidentally caused by humans. Most mortalities, at least a third, are caused by collisions with boats or other human-related actions. Some animals bear deep lacerations caused by propeller impact. Manatees are naturally curious animals, curiosity that can be deadly. They easily become entangled with mooring or fishing lines and can drown. This juvenile mouths a rope from our boat. Animals are often rescued after entangling flippers in lines. With so many watercraft in their range, they've grown accustomed to boats, or are simply too slow to avoid them. Boat collisions, being crushed in locks and floodgates, ingestion of fish hooks and litter, and entanglement in lines all contribute to manatee deaths in Florida. But the greatest threat to the animals is loss of habitat. Manatee deaths have paralleled the increase in human settlement and the rise in boat registrations. In Florida, encroaching civilization, dredging, pollution, and the filling of swamps and marshes all contribute to the devastation of wild habitat. In 1996, a strange natural phenomenon accounted for hundreds of manatee deaths. Necropsy results indicated that an outbreak of naturally occurring red tide killed the animals. This ocean toxin seeped inland and stayed for months, poisoning many animals. Other natural diseases, coupled with cold water and newborn distress, account for the majority of manatee deaths. There are signs of hope for the manatee. The animals are now protected under federal law and the Endangered Species Act. It is illegal to hunt, capture, or kill any marine mammal. Manatee sanctuaries have been established in several counties where human-related deaths are most frequent. All of Florida has been declared a manatee sanctuary. Signs are posted everywhere. Restricted speed zones have helped to reduce the frequency of boat collisions. Marine patrols monitor areas where accidents are most common, and hotlines have been established to report manatees or other animals in distress. Most seaquariums and marine parks have active breeding programs that introduce new animals, both into the wild and into other facilities. Manatees do very well in captivity, and enhanced nutritional programs encourage females to give birth more often.
You got it. Clear.
Both government and private facilities care for injured animals, nursing manatees back to health. Many of the animals are re-released back into the wild. Current census figures are somewhat encouraging. With more accurate means of counting the animals, official numbers have increased from around 1,500 in 1990 to over 2,600 animals in 1997. Public awareness and concern for the manatee have increased dramatically in recent years. Educational programs have helped to spread the word. It's true that human populations are exploding, and the manatee's habitat continues to shrink. Their decline seems almost inevitable. But with the restocking of wild herds with captive bred animals and continued public education, there is hope. Future generations may still be able to enjoy the manatee, the world's gentlest giant.